Joining us now on Sports Talk ATL, one of our favorite guests and Falcons legend on YouTube, Big Low Kuntry. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, family.
Yeah, so listen, Kirk Cousins, the quarterback. How are we feeling about it? I know me and Alex are both really pumped about it. It seems like for the first time, actually, Alex showed me a clip of you. I think it was on Channel 2 News. And you said something about cousin is now your cousin.
Yeah,
he's in the family.
So Kirk, that's my first cousin. That's my first cousin.
Yeah, man, it certainly feels like, and I'm sure you feel the same way. There's a different vibe around this team now. Like, we have a quarterback. We're not in quarterback purgatory. Like, we got something. Like, I'm ready for football. I'm ready to be in the stadium.
Man, what you talking about, Bo? I mean, because it's like for the last I guess the last year, especially since we got Bijan Robinson, we always talk about these weapons, and the biggest question has been the quarterback. And unfortunately we've had the wrong answer to those questions. But now it's a whole nother day, Bo. Whole nother day. I'm excited. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I'm ready for Sundays again. I think a lot of Falcons fans who aren't, too excited about the move are thinking 3 steps down the road, Big Low. Like, let's just get back to the playoffs. Let's just get excited for Sundays again, because it's all about, for the Vikings and Vikings fans, they're like, well, Kirk Cousins couldn't get us over the hump. Well, we're not even on one side of the hump. We're not even on the hump. We haven't gotten to the playoffs since 2017. Like, in my eyes, winning a Super Bowl is impossible. Obviously, the Falcons haven't done it in 60 plus years. So, like, let's just get back to the postseason and at least be relevant again. Like, let's forget about the postseason. Let's just get back to relevance.
Yeah. Who's the famous coach that said, look, to win it all, you got to get, I love how they say it up north, you got to get in the tournament. The tournament, is that how they say it up north? But you got to get in the tournament. But basically, I mean, you're right, man. It's like, if we want to have a chance to get to the Super Bowl again, to possibly win it, we got to get into the playoffs. We got to win the division, get some home games. And, I mean, if you look at the scope of the league right now, as far as the free agents that were available and, the current situation that we're in, Kirk Cousins, I mean, it looks like that was just the best way to go. I know a lot of people wanted Justin Fields, and, some people wanted to go other directions. I said I wanted Jaden Daniels, but I am not mad at Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, our first cousin's here. I mean, the reality is Jaden Daniels, 2 LSU guys, me, Big Low, Chase, we all wanted Jaden Daniels here, guys. The fact of the matter is it was not a reality. It was not possible. The Commanders or the Patriots, wherever he goes, we're not coming off of that pick. The fact is, of the available options who were actually attainable, Kirk Cousins was the best option. And I don't even think it was even close. Like, in terms of what we're trying to do, if it is win in 2024, which seems to be the consistent theme, Arthur Blank, Raheem Morris, Terry Fontenot, they're all talking about, we got a roster. We just need a guy to lead us. We want to win. Kirk Cousins is by far and away the best option. Like, I don't even think it's close.
Yeah. I remember when Zach Robinson, they were asking him what they wanted in a quarterback. They said they wanted a high processing guy. He said they wanted a guy that could make all of the throws. He wanted the most competitive guy in the room. And I believe Kirk Cousins entered stage left and asked them, do you like that? You like that? Because I got all of it.
I got to ask you, because we've been talking a little bit about just like the way that the outlook of the NFC, I mean, it really is wide open. I mean, we're talking about the Bucs. They were a touchdown drive away at the end of that Lions game from getting the NFC Championship with Baker Mayfield. Like, this is a wide open conference. And I think that's a big reason why the Falcons saw it as an opportunity to go for it right now, because the Eagles, you look at Jason Kelsey retiring. They're talking about trading Hassan Reddick, Fletcher Cox retired. The 49ers are obviously the class of the conference right now, but they didn't look unbeatable. They almost lost to the Lions in the NFC Championship. Like, this is a wide open conference, and now you have up there at the worst a top 3 quarterback, I would say, in the conference. That gives you a chance, man.
Yeah. I mean, so because you mentioned top 3, I didn't even look at it like that because I was thinking, as far as the whole NFL. But if we look at the NFC, which quarterbacks will we say are better than Kirk Cousins?
That we've talked about on this show. Like, I don't think there's anyone definitive. Like, you could.
I think you could make the argument for about Stafford, 4 or 5 guys.
Hurts. Yeah, like you could make arguments there.
Brock.
You can make arguments, but do you not think? Like, let me ask you this:
I think Matt Stafford's the only inarguable.
If Kyle Shanahan had the opportunity, contracts aside, do you think Kyle Shanahan would rather have Kirk Cousins or Brock Purdy? I think the answer is Kirk Cousins.
He would rather have Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I don't even think it's debatable.
Yeah, I think the point is that the Falcons aren't, they're obviously favorites to win the NFC South now. The expectation at this point for Falcons fans, it should be to win the division. I mean, Raheem Morris said even before Kirk Cousins was really, really linked to Atlanta, Raheem Morris was like, we're winning the division. That, I'm not going to shy away from it, which I absolutely love, by the way. Before we even had the quarterback, Raheem Morris was like, we're going to win the division. That's the goal. And then once we get in the playoffs, obviously he said anything can happen. I think that is the most important thing. And I saw somebody, I forget who it was. I think it was somebody from the AJC said that, I don't know why the Falcons are favored over the Saints and the Bucks. And I can't get it through my head, how you watch Desmond Ridder last year and Taylor Heineke, that quarterback play. And then you watch Kirk Cousins, what he can be, and say they shouldn't be the favorites. The Falcons were one terrible moment away from beating the Panthers, and then the Bucks needed a last-minute touchdown to win that game, the second meeting. So those 2 wins right there, those flip, which were both in the last seconds of the game. The Falcons are in the postseason with Desmond Ridder, and you're telling me that Kirk Cousins now doesn't move the needle? It's not about that Kirk Cousins is head and shoulders better than Derek Carr or Baker Mayfield, because he's not. The fact is that Kirk Cousins is head and shoulders better than Desmond Ridder. That's what I think Falcons fans should take to the bank.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, and then, if you go back and look at it, Raheem Morris, he said, hey, we were bad quarterback play for me not even sitting here whenever he was talking about a scout combine. So just imagine now, whenever you have a Zach Robinson who could, put together some great pass concepts, and a Kirk Cousins and Darnell Mooney.
Yep.
One of the most underrated wide receivers in the NFL. Sir. Man, I'm locked in. I'm probably going to go pull my my hunting chair and sit in front of the Benz until September, and we just going to just chill out until then. I'm ready to go.
I'm ready to go.
Have y'all had a chance to see Quarterback 1 on Netflix?
Yeah. I think I watched. I don't think I finished it, and I think I might have skipped. I think I might have skipped over the Kirk Cousins part because I wasn't really
you need to go watch. Go back and watch it.
I will.
And the next time we talk, let me know what you think.
I will.
Because whenever I watched it, it made me fall in love with Kirk Cousins before I thought we even had a chance to get him. But after I watched it, just as a human being, as a quarterback, as a dad, as a husband, just an overall person, he's a great guy.
I did watch it, and what I took away, obviously I watched it for Marcus Mariota because I was interested to see the behind the scenes of him getting benched, and that whole story, which we never figured out, was Kirk Cousins is absolutely obsessed with his craft. I mean, he's a dainty little guy. Let's not beat around the bush. He's not a super talented. He's had to fight tooth and nail to get where he is today in the NFL. And I think that what you're talking about in the Netflix Quarterback 1 show kind of illustrated that, where he's listening to cadences or listening to play calls in the car on the way from his house to the facility. That kind of just obsession is what the Falcons are getting. And I don't think that Falcons fans are really giving him credit, because all they think about, as far as the people who aren't in love with the signing, is that he's 35 years old, going to be 36, coming off the Achilles, and, he hasn't necessarily won in the postseason. Well, newsflash, guys, we haven't been in the postseason since 2017. Who are you? We're too good for Kirk Cousins? No, we're not. Who do you think we are? I don't get this. I don't get this.
I mean, all I can say is he's won in the postseason since we've won in the postseason.
Yep.
So look.
Yeah. I mean, you know who else? And it's also funny because look around the NFC, who's won in the postseason, really won, like a Super Bowl. Matt Stafford, that's it. Like you could say Purdy and Hurts have gotten to the Super Bowl, but they haven't won a Super Bowl. So, you know, and then like look at Lamar. That guy still has what one playoff win? Like it's hard.
Dak is just
it's hard to win in the postseason.
Yeah, it's
like
hard.
It takes, you know, Matt Ryan had that about him until that 2016 Super Bowl run. So it's not easy to do. Now, I want to get you a little more excited here, Big Low. I'm painting a picture here. We've been talking about it. I know we got Darnell Mooney. I know some people are thinking, oh, we're definitely going to go defense in the draft. I'm still thinking Rome Odunze or Malik Neighbors there at 8. You have Darnell as your number 3, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier, that offensive line with Kirk Cousins. Like I get we haven't had a great defense in a long time, but that excites me, man. That excites me.
Come on, man. Don't do me like that. Don't do me like I ain't took my blood pressure medicine yet. Don't do me like that, man. Goodness gracious.
I mean, could you imagine that would be the most talented offensive skill position group, and it's all young too. Like Bijan Robinson's in year 2, year 3 Drake London, year 4 Kyle Pitts, and what's Kyle Pitts still like 23 years old? He was like 19. Like and then Malik Neighbors or someone like that coming in at 22, and then Mooney on his second contract. I mean, all under what, the age of 26, 27? Yeah. I mean, that's freaky.
Crazy.
That's freaky.
Crazy. That reminds me of those old school Chargers. Remember the Chargers whenever they had the LaDainian Tomlinsons and Antonio Gates and I mean all of those guys, like they literally came up together, and you know that's what we kind of have a chance to do.
And Phillip Rivers kind of reminds me of Kirk Cousins, like to be honest,
very much so. He just don't got 35 kids.
That is true. That is probably the best stat from Kirk Cousins. Well, Big Low, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.